Hi everyone. Today I'm talking to Sean Porter, and he is a candidate for the electorate of Wright, and he is sitting for One Nation. But I will let him introduce himself a little bit, and then we will have a bit of a chat about the things that you would like to see change and what you would like to do should you be elected.
Yes, thank you, Lisa, for the opportunity today. Um, I am what you would call a freshie on to the political landscape, not a career politician whatsoever. In fact, I'm just one of those people down the street that have decided to turn around and say, right, that's it. I have had an absolute gutful about this. I'm sick to death of being on Facebook, seeing all this pain. I'm sick to death of seeing the problems within our local community, and I'm talking abroad within the northern area. And I just want to do something about it. I've had enough. I've, I've just put I got friends around me that are opposed to some of my views, but they're all turning around and saying, "Well done, Sean, for at least trying to do something about it." Look, I've got three young men that I've brought up into this world, and they are fantastic critical thinkers. My wife as well, and a successful business lady within the community, and also to, we're just a family that's just trying to struggle out there and do our best for the guys along the street and everyone as well. So I am passionate about I've looked and I'm focusing in on the things that I can contribute to the people in Wright and abroad. I am focusing not on the things that I can't make a difference. Basic stuff. The hate speech bill, for example. I can't fix those sort of things. So I'm going to focus on the circle of control. And the circle of control for me is what I've identified. And I'm going to grow that identification by knocking and speaking to people at doors and things like that. So the what we're missing out there in the community is not enough listening. They're doing too much telling. They're doing too much. This is what I'm going to do for you, and more times often than not, what they're trying to do is all the wrong things, and that's because they're not listening. Now, they've been in government for 20 years, and all I'm seeing is from better to worse, and it's not getting any better. So the reason why it's getting worse is because they're just not simply listening nowadays anymore. They're not taking into account what's going on, and they're definitely not looking at the root of each problem that is out there. One of the problems, if I may identify, is say, for example, the health system. Now, I'll give you I'll give you something that a lot of people might be able to relate to. My wife and I had to go down to the hospital, and she had massive pain, and one of the things we did first, because our local, well, it was supposed to be local, is Mobry. So we thought to ourselves, no, hang on, let's ring up the Mobry Hospital first, and because we wanted to get them some advice about the actual pain. And they gave us some advice over the phone, and they identified potential problems. And they said, look, you can't come here. We're just going to move you down to Lyle Mac anyway. And I thought, hang on, this is a hospital here. Why are you moving us to the Lyle Mac? Anyway, um, without experiencing anything, we didn't say anything more. We just drove down there ourselves. So, you're not going to believe what we encountered. We walked in, there was the emergency area, and this is a Monday night, by the way. The whole place was full. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this is not the emergency room. This is a waiting room. It's got to be. And anyway, we checked in, I guess you could say. We saw the nurse with a bit of a lineup. And, she took all the information and stuff like that. And we had to sit down, of course, and wait for our time. So, as you do, we're talking to everyone. And we got talking to some people, and we were there for probably about 2 hours at the time. We got talking. There was another couple that rocked in. They were from Kapunda. So we're dealing with the doctor, and they came from an ambulance, and they dropped him off in the ambulance and everything. And then that was a heart stroke. So he had to wait. And this was a heart problem. So again, it goes back to the emergency side of things. It's not emergency, it was a waiting room. Now, long story short, I'll cut to the chase. We were there until we got seen by a doctor for 10 hours. My
Wow.
wife was sleeping on the chair. I saw a whole heap of people sleeping on their chair that were there before me. I saw mental patients walking in and out. Some people had to be escorted out of the actual emergency area to get because they were creating a problem within the waiting room. So it took 10 hours just to see someone. I mean, we had other people from Gawler. So what I'm trying to say is that we're not fixing a problem. We're putting a band-aid over this whole health system. I mean, I know these things cost a lot of money, but why are we reintroducing the Modbury Hospital to be at full capacity with what they can do and not palming off situations to the Lowell McEwen? The Lowell McEwen is the only one within the northern suburbs to accommodate the residents, and where they're coming from all sorts of areas. We need the immigration is growing at a rate of knots. We all know that. So if that's the case, it's a bit like the housing. If that's the case, we need to cut it at the knees and start focusing on the actual problem and not band-aiding the other problems. And this is what the current government's not doing. So my job is one of the areas I'd like to focus. I'd like to focus on one of the health systems and look at advocating for more areas to open up and increase services within the community. So that's just one area.
Mhm. Can I ask you a question? I've got a question
Sorry.
about the health, but first of all, so uh, so I don't know you, other than, hello, here we are today. So the seat of Wright,
Yes.
now that's north.
Yes.
So what area does that cover in particular?
Yep. Suburbs that cover is Golfview Heights, Surrey Downs, Modbury Heights, a portion of Modbury North, Windvale, and Redwood Park as well, and Surrey Downs. I think I said that. And so there's about 27,000 residents within that electorate. And I've had my campaign launch, and I also go to a church there within Windvale on the Jubilee Way there.
So
So
you live in your electorate? You do
I'm
live in your
just
electorate?
I'm just
And
outside. I'm in
yep,
Greenwood.
yep.
Yeah,
So you do live up there. Yep,
I definitely live up there. That's
yep,
exactly right, Lisa.
yep. So something we saw recently in the media was, the new hospital, additional beds, and there was the additional beds. I think it was 50 beds with a potential for 20 more, unless I've misunderstood that.
Right.
What I don't understand is that we have, EDs are overwhelmed. We have AMBOs ramped, and we're still not building hospitals. I think they said that those extra beds would help kind of serve into like the next 100 years. But the way I see it is that we're overflowing now. We can't keep
Yes.
up now, and that those 50 beds today
Yes.
would barely touch the problem.
That's exactly right. So another way of fixing this particular situation is that these beds are getting filled up with our older generation, our older people that need the help, that need all that assistance, and also to the geriatrics. So without neglecting these people need to be into other areas where the hospital actually doesn't need to help them, e.g., more geriatric centres, there are more nursing homes to actually accommodate these type of people. Therefore, freeing up more beds for the actual people that need the heart strokes, for example, or pains and things like real necessary type of things,
Mm.
Lisa. So that's another area of that will help the situation.
And I think GPs seem to be walking away from the job too, and they're overwhelmed. And I think I've been a believer for a long time that if we better supported our GPs,
Yes.
so many people with sore throats and non-emergency wouldn't be going to ED because they could actually afford to access the GPs, and there were more GPs available. Like, I'm finding it harder and harder to find a GP. Years ago, the GP used to serve you, your parents, your grandparents, your kids, and it was that relationship that I think was really important.
Yeah.
Um, because now you have to go to, in most cases, go to a clinic, and you're lucky if you can see the same GP.
Yeah,
So
exactly
there's
right.
no relationship. There's no, they don't know your history. You've got to
Yep.
try and explain it in a 5 or 10 minute appointment. I think it kind of stems from there as well. That's one of the biggest problems. Like, let's look after our GPs, so they can look after us. It reduces the reliance on the AMBOs. It reduces the reliance on the ED. And then, of course, there's the aged care.
Yes,
Um, instead of band-aids, let's build something that will provide 50 beds.
exactly
I don't
right.
think it's enough.
No, it's not enough. Again, I can't stress enough, and you've already mentioned it, the immigration is growing at a rate of knots due to our current situation and government. If that's the case, that's not going to slow down. So therefore, we need to accommodate these areas. You've got to fix any source of a problem right at the source and not at the end result. You're never going to fix the end result. You need to always fix it at the beginning. My parents live in Taylor Bend. When they want to see a doctor, they have to wait for over a month. Now, whatever situation, and this is in the Murray Bridge precinct, so that goes in agreement on what you totally say. That's a perfect result, and I'm sure if there's viewers out there who'd be saying, "Yep, I've heard that before," and I'm currently dealing with that. Yeah, it's just very very frustrating. I'm one of those people that I see a problem, I need to fix it, and won't stop until I try and do. I really, really will go for it. I don't like saying no. I don't like losing. And I definitely, if I'm going to say yes to someone, I'm going to make sure that I follow through. And then if you can't follow through, you don't say to people, oh, no, you don't say nothing. You be absolutely transparent and you own up. You
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that. You say things that if you can't do it, you give the people a reason for it and make them understand and things like that. So
Yeah,
you've got to
there's
be upfront with people.
nothing worse than members of parliament making a promise. I mean, I've seen that myself in child protection. And
Yep.
they make a promise, they don't follow through. In fact, they do the opposite, but then they won't even respond. They won't even just say, okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it because, or they just block you off.
You
And
will you will gain more respect,
yeah,
uh, 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 more respect of a person if you own up to a mistake or b you can't do something.
yep.
Well, at least that person got back to me,
Hmm.
and then you start again. You keep trying.
Yeah.
It's an extremely important thing from a person's character, and there's not enough of that in politics as well. I mean, I I had a meeting up here at my place the other day with some northern candidates, and I can't tell you enough the passion of these people and the actual urgency and what they wanting to do was fantastic. I felt so comfortable and happy in working with a party that aligns with my values. I mean, I've been before I even put my hand up for this, the first thing I wanted to do, and I encourage people to do this, is look at the South Australian website. And read every single policy that they had, and I actually agreed the common sense side of things. And that is one of the reasons. Now, the other reason I put my hand up is that I believe One Nation is the only one who's going to be able to fix this situation. We're the only common sense party, not conservative party, common sense party that is putting their hand up to actually make a difference, a real difference. You may not agree with all the policies. It's rare that people do. But at the end of the day, value and align yourself and read all of them and go from there. I encourage people to do that.
What I find with policies is, I'll read some, and some of them I'll think, well, that's good, but I would add this and this,
Yep,
or maybe take something out. But the policy is like a guideline.
yep,
I see it as something that is a value, and here's something that, I've written some, so here's what I've written.
yeah.
Well, if people align with that, that's not the policy. It doesn't just get put in like that, and yay, that's the law. Like
That's
that
right.
actually goes in. The members of parliament, they'll work on that, and it goes into parliament. Things get voted on, other people contribute,
Yep,
and it's kind of that good grounding space to start.
that's exactly right.
So, if people, and I'm not aligned with any party, everybody's invited to come on here and talk to me. Uh, it's, everybody has the opportunity to reach out to any candidate in the lead up to the election and say, I've read your policy. I think that's crap. I don't
Yep.
agree with it.
Yep.
Or I like it, but I think you could make it better.
Yeah.
So, I think any candidate, I talk to a lot of politicians, and I think any candidate is really brave because I'm sure you cop a bit of flack as well, just for putting your hand up.
Yep.
But I think all of us on the outer have an opportunity to contribute because we tell you what's broken and we give you our suggestions for solutions. So everybody
Hmm.
has a role to play in
Exactly.
making change.
Exactly right. And constructive criticism needs to be taken on board by fresh candidates, career politicians, it doesn't matter who.
Yeah,
It really, really needs to be taken on board because if you don't take it on board, A, as a government, B, as a party, or C, as a person, you don't grow. You
yeah.
just don't grow. You need to take it on board. I mean, I was a sales rep for many, many years, and people used to say, Sean, your approach just then wasn't the best. I would suggest you do it this way. So I go out the door and do it that way and
Yeah.
just make sure that I did better because I wanted to do better for my customer and I wanted to do better for my supplier. So it needs to be the same thing from political side of things as well. And this is the key thing, and it's important. And again, I thank you for having this opportunity to talk because the people need to understand you're not just voting for a party, you really are voting for that person because that application that person is doing is paramount. You don't want fake people. You don't want groomers. You don't want people saying, yes, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to follow the party's way. Those people, please, I ask you to reach out on Facebook and ask me questions and even knock on my door because I'll be knocking on yours to get to know me. So I encourage all that. It's important to get to know me so I can do the best.
So I hear from a lot of people, and especially when I was volunteering during the federal election, a lot of people talk about voting, and people say, I hear them saying, "Oh, I'm not voting for Albo, I'm not voting for Pauline, I'm not voting for Dutton," or I don't think a lot of people understand that here in Adelaide we can't vote for them anyway. Like they don't live in our electorate, they don't live in our state. So if somebody is voting, they are voting for the candidate that is running in their electorate, or for those, then we also vote for those in the Legislative Council.
Yep.
So it's I find it really tricky to explain that to people that we can't we're not voting for the leaders, the people over in Queensland or Victoria or anywhere else, and that in the state election, people need to focus on our candidates here in South Australia.
There's not enough education within the world that we live in, and especially in schools. The education about everyday life and the things that we go through aren't being taught in schools. A lot
Mm.
of people didn't even know that you actually can pick your own preferences. They just didn't even know that. I mean, that comes from school.
Yep.
So the preferences are really easy. They're up to the people themselves to actually vote for what their preferences are. It's got nothing to do with deals or what we say is, when I say we, I mean the party, to tell where those particular votes go.
Mm.
I encourage everyone to quickly watch a 10-minute video from Topher Field explaining so easily in regards to preference voting. It's a very simple visual exercise that Topher Field does on YouTube. So please watch that, people. But also, too, getting back to the education side of things, where I think sometimes the children need to be taught on how to vote, how
Mm.
to budget, how to make money in a very small way. We're not taught any of that. We're blinded on purposely on how not to do these basic things. And we're talking 50-year-olds that still think preferences are done by the government. They're not. So it's very, very frustrating from an education point of view. And there's a lot of things that need to be done in the education system, mind you. A lot of areas that um, a real problem, and I don't think they're getting addressed and haven't been addressing for 20 years. I mean, for example, only last year, 52% of Year 9 boys failed grammar. That's national, by the way. Failed grammar. So we're not addressing the root of the problem again. And when I say there's a root of the problem, it goes back to the education. And I talk about students going through to become a teacher. They're not getting taught on how to handle parents. They're not getting taught how to handle specific situations within the classrooms, which is stemmed on lack of morals or respect for the teacher. We need to bring the parents back into line in regards to accountability of that child. We need to support the teachers that are doing a great job, and we need to make the teachers that aren't doing a very good job with accountability and KPIs. The list goes on with education, enabling that plan to be used better than what it is as more of a punishment. Oh, you need to do better in this area. No, we need to focus more in this area. We need to upstand the ESOs that are helping the teachers. They're amazing, those people,
Yeah.
and they're a great help. We need to give teachers less administration that they can focus on the children that are struggling.
I think the teacher's role is also expanded too, because I think, when we were at school, I remember most of my teachers, you'd go to school and it was somebody that kind of nurtured you in the classroom and they taught you in the classroom. And it was usually a pretty good caring relationship as well. Whereas
Yeah.
now we have so many families who are doing it tough and suffering. We have families breaking down. We have
Yeah.
domestic violence. We have children being removed. And all of those traumas and things impact on the kids. And then those kids are going to school and the teachers, some are amazing. Some just have this inbuilt empathy and are able to help
Yeah.
regulate and address the kids, but not everybody has perhaps the lived experience or that ability. And so they're trying to teach a classroom full of kids. Plus, then they have other kids in the classroom with disabilities. They have the kid in the class who got removed from their parents yesterday, who's
Yes.
traumatized and not suffering. So
Yes.
now all of a sudden the teachers are trying to be like a teacher, a GP, a psychologist, an allied health professional, all of those things in. And plus, at the same time, can you please produce A grade mathematicians and English
Yeah.
so I think I always talk about the cumulative cycle, and I just think it's all these things that are coming in and impacting,
Yes.
and because we're throwing band-aids at everything,
Yeah.
we're not even fixing one thing to try
Yeah.
and start breaking that cycle. It's impacting on kids at school as well, and then if they don't finish school or get to a year level where they can at least go in and get a job, then that impacts them going into adulthood.
Exactly right. It's a quick transition. Like I said, I've got three boys. Two of them are 18, and it was like a slap in the face to them. They had to either get a job straight away or keep doing more studying.
Mhm.
And sometimes, you get kids that can't do all the studying because they're just not wired that way. So therefore, they need something else. So that transition, while the school was very good and doing their best, I think there can be something done better as well. Because once the teachers are done and dusted with the kids, generally speaking, there's a black and white transition over, and it's not good enough. However, I will say, I have personally experienced public school when I was a kid, and I've put my kids through private school, and there is a clear difference between the two, in my opinion. The care factor from the school that I sent my children to, was amazing. Goes back to what you were saying in regards to empathy, the caring factor, the wanting from the genuine wanting of the teachers wanting to make a change for the kids. It's a bit like it should be a bit like politics, where you've got to have the right people within politics to show the empathy
Yeah.
for the residents out there, the people out there. People are power, and people can be a problem. It's making sure that we get the right ones on board with the values and morals. So, getting back to the teachers, you can have, it gets back to KPIs and things like that, and getting the curriculum correct and right through. And that's the other thing, curriculum. The curriculum needs to be a bit more transparent for parents, so that the parents can assist the teachers more so. And like you said, teachers are having to deal with a lot more, and the government's not stopping ridiculous ideologies coming into schools. wokeism, transgender being normalised, and things like that. We're just adding to the problem. It should not be the schools or the teachers' agenda or part of the curriculum or anything like that to have an opinion and inflict it onto a child. They are there for one thing: grammar, science, English, and all the other curriculum situations that they're there to be for. They don't need these this added rubbish, to be quite frank. So it goes exactly what you were saying. They're having to deal with a lot of stuff out there, and it just needs to be simplified. Keep it simple, stupid, they say.
And it's about acceptance, isn't it? I think teaching our kids, and kids learn from example too.
Yes.
So it's around showing, doing it, because I, I see a lot of bullying in adults, and the
Oh
way
yeah.
they act, and then kids follow that. So I think it's in schools particularly, for kids, it's like a second home. That's where they spend most of their time. And for some kids, that's their only safe space.
Yes, it
So
is.
if
Yes.
in there, if they can just learn that acceptance and it's how they treat other people, it shouldn't matter what you are, what nationality, what
No,
anything.
exactly.
If everybody was just in there together and supporting each other and acceptance, and then those people were growing up and then entering the adult world,
Yeah.
putting that into practice, that makes a lot of difference.
Well, it is a monkey see, monkey do situation, and I love the title of One Nation. It's as simple as that. I, you're right. It doesn't matter what nationality you are, as long as you're an Australian citizen. That's is what we need to understand. And unfortunately, um, when you're involved with the world out there, the current, in my opinion, the current government is not mirroring what the Australian public want. They're not mirroring the 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 values and the morals of Australian culture. They're trying. It doesn't. It seems like they're trying to divide it up. I mean, the referendum, for example, or transgenders, or the Australian flag, for crying out loud. They're trying. It seems like. I mean, the government has, in a 4-year period, spending $1.5 million to investigate the Australian flag. I mean, this is a government spending money on frivolous things. Leave it alone. We're trying to keep a culture here. You don't see Farmers Union, Nice Coffee, changing their label all the time because they've kept it the same. That's how marketing works. It's not, and but Farmers Union is part of the Australian culture, for
Yeah.
crying out loud. Let's not change the Australian flag or the Australian day. We are one nation. Everyone's the same. We all live together. Let's just get along together and make it the same for everyone.
I think if you look at the different the dynamics, like, and we're so diverse, all the people I speak to, whether it doesn't matter what culture they're from, what disability they have, how they identify, um, everybody's wanting the same thing, and
Yes.
it's to have their needs met, to be accepted.
Yep.
Um, but there seems to be a lot of stuff coming in at government level that then makes people divided.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't hear anybody saying, I don't want I don't know, the Smurfs. I don't want them not to have their needs met and
Yeah.
not get their health care or anything like that. I'm just
That's right.
after the Smurfs. I'm hearing from everybody that whether you are living in the city or you're living out at Two Wells or you're living out on country, um, it's and whatever culture, you all deserve to have your needs met,
100%.
whatever your needs are.
That's right.
It's media and the way a lot of things are portrayed, I think, create divide,
Yes.
and people are spending a lot of time and energy and money on trying to manage that divide instead of everybody coming together and like you said, fixing
Yep.
fixing the crux of the problem.
Exactly right.
What would it be? So okay, if tomorrow you're elected, what will be the first thing after you go, oh my goodness, I'm in there.
Yep, slap in
What
the face. That's
what
right.
what would you like to do? What would be sort of one of the first things in mind that you'd like to jump on and try to start working on, I guess?
I would like to start working on two areas actually, but first I'll concentrate on the local council situation.
Mhm.
I think the council rates are way out of control. We're we're talking about increases across the board, and I'm generalising right now, of 7%, 10% increases. The one of the ways to stop uh, the the increase of cost of living is our back pockets, and we need to look at not the parts that I can't fix, but the parts that I can try and fix, which is the capping of the council rates. We need to look at CPI index. The councils need to not act as if they're their own government. They can't just increase their own percentages just because they want to pay for their own new building, for argument's sake. I know, councils cannot be allowed to donate money to a cause that the residents don't agree in. It's got nothing to do with them. I know councils that are, or mayors that are going into junkets like Rio de Janeiro, for example, for what? And they're getting everything paid by the councils. I know another council that spent $40,000 in a cause that the residents didn't even vote for, it didn't even want. It was the voice referendum, right? These councils shouldn't be allowed to make these kind of decisions. It's got nothing to do with them. It's a bit like the situation I made with the teachers. Teachers shouldn't be allowed to say what they want to say to inflict an opinion. The same thing with the councils. So a cap needs to be put onto the councils, and the whole situation of gagging uh, councils in not giving their opinion or not helping addressing a situation. There's an act at the moment within the councils where it stops a councillor from giving their opinion or helping the residents or going against an idea of 1999, an act where it stops that. So that needs to be reformed and actually done, to be honest with you. The other quick thing that the council or one of our ideas as a party would like to look upon, and I have actually spoken to councillors about this, so it's a good idea. It's not just an idea plucked from the air. Is that we need? Oh, I've lost my train of thought. We need the. Oh, we need. Oh, that's right. Sorry, my apologies. We need a two-tier approach in regards to looking after the residents. So the residents get given a choice on how they pay their rates. So two ways. They get paid. The resident can make a choice in paying for basic services, e.g., already we know waste to get that picked up, right? Or the resident can pay to which would be more expensive, other things, e.g., might be road upgrades, it might be footpaths, it might be more extenuating situations. A civic park, for example, that can be upgraded. So the resident gets a choice on those two things. Now, Sean, you might say to me, Lisa, is that no one's going to, want to pay more for other people's expenses, like a civic park upgrade. And you're absolutely right. No one will be wanting to do. There will be a few that will.
Yeah.
So, what does that do? That teaches the council to review their costs. It teaches the council to focus on what they actually need to do, not what they want to do. Because this is what we're paying them for. The local councils are like me. They need to listen to the residents. They need to get an understanding of what the residents want and focus on that. I spoke to a Redwood Park resident and he said, look, we're getting a lot of houses getting demolished in my area, and where one pot of land where there was one house are now coming into two. So automatically, you're doubling your car parks. You're doubling your amount of people. You're doubling your waste, for example, because you've got two families rather than one. So there's all this infrastructure issue that we need to look at as well and need to focus on. So it's not just one clear-cut idea. These 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 councils who love the idea of two houses on one pot of land because it increases their council value coming through. So we can't be greedy. We need to look at everything in regards to the cost of doing the business and the viability within the council. So that is one of the things I'd like to do, Lisa, and that helps the residents like threefold at least.
And therefore giving the residents the opportunity to be heard and have a say in where their money's going.
Exactly right.
Right.
And this is to your viewers, Lisa. This is an example that I want to listen. I want to get involved, whether I get involved now or I get involved into local council. It's important for me for everyone to understand that I want to make a change, and I want to make a change of difference.
So if
So,
you're elected, you will still you'll still talk to people in your community. You'll still come on, do videos.
yep,
You will make yourself accessible because there are plenty out there that refuse meetings. They don't reply to emails. And I guess people want to know how are you going to be different?
you got to, yeah, exactly right. You've got to wear your heart on your sleeve, and I can sit here right now, Lisa, and say to you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. Actions speak louder than words, and I just want the opportunity to prove to people that that's exactly what I want to do. I can only prove that expression and that heartfelt advocation in time, and to show what I do and what I want to do over time with people. And the best thing I can do again is to get people to understand and speak to me. If I'm not elected, I will keep knocking on the doors. I will keep having coffees with people such as council, such as you. Keep talking to you. Keep talking to Sonia Blackwell regarding the What's Up Tea Tree Gully page, for example. Those type of people who have the capture of the residents, so I can get more information.
Mm.
It's not just me knocking on a door, it's me talking to other people that network, such as yourself, so I can get good, honest feedback and information from yourself, so I can extend my arm to help more if I go for council and things like that. It's it goes back to it goes back to picking the right people and the right type of people out there in the community. And if everyone can understand and get to know them more, whether it's me, whether it's Labor, whether it's Liberal, One Nation, I don't care. Get to know people. Get to know them that are advocating for you. Because you know what, everyone, whatever the decision that you make for that particular person or that particular party will reflect not only to your children, it will reflect to your parents, and it will definitely reflect onto yourself. And I'll bring it back up again. 20 years of Labor hasn't seen much of a change for the better. There are aspects that they have, fantastic. There are also a lot of aspects nationally and also state-wise that aren't going the right way. And it's like seeing a mouse in a wheel. It keeps running and running and running and going around and getting nowhere. If you want to keep voting that way, fine. That's your prerogative in democracy. But if you're sick to death of it, guys, make a change.
I think people still find it hard to understand and perhaps I'll say to people, okay, have a look at you. What are the things that you're struggling with, your family's struggling with, your kids, your parents? What are the things that are really, really tough right now? And they all talk about cost of living and health and education and might be emergency services or something. And then I say to them, well, okay, then now go out and find out why. Find out
Exactly. Yeah.
who is the minister, who is the shadow minister. Where can you go to complain about that?
Yeah.
Is there any independent oversight of any of these organizations or departments or the people that are actually responsible? And then have a look at, are you happy with it then? Why are you still suffering?
Exactly
And
right.
what can you do as an individual to try to change that journey, to
Yes.
help change that?
Yeah.
And does that come down to advocating to someone? Are they listening? Does it
Yep.
come down to voting differently this time?
Yep.
We
Yep.
have elections every few years.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you can vote the same if you think your current members are doing an amazing job and their doors open and they're talking to you.
Right.
But if they're not and they're suffering, well, do you keep them in there or do you vote for someone different?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Um, people are probably feeling out there, and I know I was, and I know a lot of other people and friends and family and all the rest of it. They're really, really quite exhausted. They're tired. and they're tired of seeing the same stuff. And they're now seeing the other party being very, very similar. And I never saw that before when I was a kid. I actually saw the other party doing a great job, to be honest with you. So I'm not seeing that anymore. And I know a lot of people are feeling quite drained in regards to the continuation of the same thing. Again, the cost of living, again, the health, again, the councils, again, the education system and things like that. And everyone is focused on themselves, which is fine because themselves is what matters firstly and foremost. So what matters to them needs to be communicated to exactly what you just said to the people that can do the difference, can try and advocate to make the difference. So again, you're right. It's about not focusing on the people that aren't doing it, but getting involved and not giving up and not trying to get tired. Do your little bit to investigate the people that are actually trying for you. I can tell you right now, everyone, that me putting my hand up for One Nation, um, I'm investing a lot of money into this personally. I've got a lot of flyers that I want to send out. This is going to cost me over $3,000, but that's because I care.
Yeah.
I actually really, really care. I don't want to get emotional about it, but
Yeah.
I will invest this money because I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing for everyone and my kids and everything that I've just tried to express right now with you. So I'll make that investment. I will spend my time. I'm not getting paid 1 cent for this,
Yeah.
not 1 cent, and that doesn't bother me. What bothers
Which
me is
makes it
making the
very
difference.
hard when it makes it hard when you're competing against major parties who already have staff in there being paid,
Mm,
and they're out there during the day campaigning,
yeah,
which I kind of I struggle with a little bit because I think they're being paid at the moment to go in and fix things in health and fix things in child protection, and um, at the same time, all of a sudden they're all out now campaigning
yes,
together with their
yeah,
candidates.
yeah,
So you're kind of competing about an existing presence, but then also the donation ban. So if somebody was really in your community, really wanted to support you and you know, lift your platform and donate a heap of money, well, they can't now.
that's right.
Um, I think the minor parties and independents have been really disadvantaged. And whilst it's being promoted in the media saying, there you go, look what we've done, we've banned donations, people can't see that it's actually not affecting them. It's
No,
affecting the everyday people that want to get into parliament that aren't in a major party.
yeah, I know, and it's even the simple things. I mean, you might get in your letterbox next week from Labor a magnetic calendar, right? You can put that on your fridge. Guess what? You're paying for that. That candidate or that MP is not paying for that. It's coming out of your back pocket. Oh, is it really? What about that shopping bag I got from Liberal? No, you're paying for that. What
Yeah,
about this and that? You know, the list goes on, and people don't understand that. I'm and sometimes they don't understand because they actually just don't know,
yeah, that's
and
right.
that's not their fault. So this is why I guess I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve and getting you guys, not you, Lisa, but everyone listening out there, to understand that that the One Nation team, the candidates and everything, they're doing this exactly like me. They are so passionate. It's crazy. They're even spending money on magnets to go in their car just to promote their name to get it out there. When, as you know, we're not allowed to put call flutes on poles anymore and things like that. That's suppressing, in my opinion, the independent people that are fighting for you.
Yeah.
And I say this to everyone out there: if you do want to change in regards to the making the difference, um, I think this is a numbers game, everyone. And at the moment, and not only because I agree with the alignment of the policies within One Nation and who they stand for and everything about them, is that they've actually now getting the passion and the numbers to make the changes out there. Even if we get 5 seats, 7 seats, whatever the case is, it's something to make a difference at state level to help you as a resident.
Can I ask, how many candidates do you have? How many candidates roughly are there?
Yep, 47 electorates. We have now not potentially, we do have around about 33, and there's
Okay.
still more coming on board. So that's a really good question, Lisa, because it goes back to my comment about the numbers. I mean, it makes me encouraged as a person that I am doing the right thing, because the more candidates, the more opportunity we're going to have. So therefore, my efforts aren't in vain. And it doesn't matter if I don't get in. That's one thing, but I'm actually helping as a team for Alison to get in, or David to get in from King. We are working together. We are setting up areas that we will be going out to go and speak to residents rather, but we're acting as a team, not as a singular electorate, because everyone travels, everyone goes into areas,
Yeah.
and I'll be more than happy if any of my co-candidates get in. I will be rapt,
Mm.
because it's about a team effort and One Nation getting in, not necessarily just me.
So if everyone talks about the two parties, but I don't think people realise that it's two parties. It doesn't mean it has to be Labor and Liberal. And I'm not saying who should be in or who shouldn't be. But
Yeah,
like if I come in as Team Smurf and I have 47 candidates and my Team Smurf get a majority of votes, I can form government, can't I?
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And people need to ask themselves this question: well, why aren't I seeing any of this on South Australian news or media outlets? And that's because people, they are controlled by the major parties. The media is being controlled by the major parties, and the media doesn't want to step outside of supporting another candidate or another party, whether it's the Nationals, or whether it's One Nation, or whether it's another minor party. They just don't simply want to talk about them. So you need to ask your question: why am I only seeing that? That's what I've got to say about
Mm.
that.
Okay, so heading into the election, if someone's hearing you speak and or they see you out and about up in your area, what type of things can people do to help you if they support what you're wanting to do for them?
Yep, thank you very much, Lisa. Look, I appreciate any type of help. It might be a phone call situation. Like we can ask people to talk to their neighbours. We can ask people to help at a meet that we're trying to organise. I've got about 6 fantastic volunteers, and they're going to be assisting in their particular own way. They might be quite old and they don't want to physically go out there and knock on doors with me, or stand at a polling booth and things like that. They can do other things. And those that can do the things that we need, that'll be fantastic. The most help that we need will be the polling booths, just handing out the flyers and assisting people, helping them make their finalised decision. Um, Prior to that, it would be sensational just having the same passion as me, or even more, to go and talk to people when we're in a particular car park, for example.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of ways that people can help. It's not just one way. And just get in contact with myself. I've got my own Facebook page. I have my own email address on that Facebook page. And on that Facebook page also too, I have my own phone number as well. And I'm more than happy to take any phone calls. I used to never take phone calls that to come up as a number. Now, or even though caller ideas, I just take them now and hope for the best. So I'm here to help, guys. So it's just whatever the case may be, please
Well,
ask
I,
me
I
questions.
guess even I guess part of being a politician is that people are always going to come to you with things that perhaps that you might not want to hear or you might not like. But I always say at the end of the day, you work for us. You work for the
Exactly.
community.
That's right.
And I've talked to many people at polling booths who go in angry and when once you get talking to them
Yeah.
and you say, okay, so you're angry about it, but have you spoken to a member of parliament about it? And have you offered a solution? And don't be angry because you have to come here and vote.
Yep.
Be grateful that we've got a privilege that we all get to come in. And if we're not happy with the status quo, we will have an opportunity to vote.
Yep.
And, don't waste your vote. No more dick pics.
No, that's
Um,
right.
because when you do, really, you're just kind of voting for same.
Yep.
So everyone can complain, but I guess I'm all for people stepping in and trying to make a change And if all they can do is know that they've gone on the day and they voted, that's the first step. But
That's right.
yeah, I will put your website, Facebook links on the YouTube description, and people will watch your video. It'll be up on Facebook soon.
Thank you.
And nice to meet you.
Likewise, thank you so much again, Lisa, and thank you to everyone listening. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.